Hi, this is Guadalupe Contreras, and this is study lesson 28 in the publication about public speaking. The publication I'm using for the course to stop stuttering. The subject that we're going to be getting into is called conversational manner. And let's just jump right into it, okay? Um, I'm doing here a course about helping those that stutter. And so what I'm just showing here, this is the preview only. Okay, so if you don't have the publication, I'll be putting it in the area there of the description where you can download it for free. Okay, let's just jump right into it since it's a preview. And hopefully you've seen the other videos because you don't want to jump ahead because each video has its own idea of understanding how to acquire the lesson. Okay, let's just start it. What do you need to do to have conversational manner? You want to speak in a manner characteristic of everyday conversation, but modified to fit your audience. Why is it important to develop conversational manner? An appropriate conversational style of speech puts your audience at ease and helps them to be receptive to what you say. So it's why it's important. It's where that whenever people or your audience hear you, they will be receptive to what you're saying. Let's go right into it, okay? Since this is only a preview of the lesson, let's just jump right into it, okay? And how this will be conducted, I'm going to be reading, also skimming through the paragraphs, if you will, and then to just, staring at you, the audience, and paraphrasing the information that I read. Okay, let's just start, okay? It says, people genuinely feel relaxed when they are conversing with friends. Their expressions are spontaneous. Some individuals are animated, others are more reserved. Nevertheless, the naturalness of such speech is appealing. Well, you see, this right here, they said that conversational manner is a good quality whenever you're speaking, right? And it's a very appealing quality to have. What I want to share before we continue is that the way I'm instructing this information is that reading the paragraphs, right, and then paraphrasing them, it gives you the idea to understand the words in your, to understand the sentence, the paragraph in your own words. So I'm showing you a quality of how to paraphrase and that you're developing a quality of how to listen. Now, remember, this is for stutterers, okay? Those that don't stutter and you read this material, what you're going to take from this is just publication, instructor is reading it, paraphrasing it, and that's it. Well, you see, what you want to do is pay attention, and appreciate that the quality, what you could learn is a public speaker qualities. And that those that stutter, right, you want to see my mannerism of speaking, because in the assignment, you're going to be given an assignment that I give to you, and you're going to be having to read. Now, remember though, that stutterers, right, they try to avoid reading in front of public or in class, wherever it may be. It's difficult for them to read. So concentrate on the way I read the paragraphs and like I said, if you could see the other videos, I said this in every other video, right, that I made. If you could see the first video, go by the videos in order, if you can, because so that way that you could see the ideas that you learned from the other video before the one that you're in now, because every video has a idea quality that you got to develop. For example, the video of air voice quality, you see, you have to remember the idea principles that you got to apply as you do each video. You see what I mean? So how you need to focus on right now is that see my quality that I'm expressing the idea for you to make application in. And that way, your brain system will have, a role model for you to follow, okay? So what we're doing now is looking into the paragraph and reading it. Then you're gonna come out and paraphrase it in your own words, because whenever that you do that, you get the gist of the knowledge information, meaning that you get the sense of it if you paraphrase it in your own words. Okay, let's get back into the paragraph. It says that when approaching a stranger, however, it is not appropriate to speak in a manner that is overly familiar or too casual. In fact, in some cultures, all conversations with strangers begin in a very formal manner. After due respect has been shown, then with discernment, it may be desirable to use less formal language and a more conversational manner. So, what is the paraphrase in this right here? It says, the key points here is stranger. You wouldn't talk to a stranger like you really knew the stranger, right? No, it would be more formal. Formal means that there are ideas and principles that you gotta follow. Non-formal is that you would just do it anyway, that is called for, right? So you wouldn't talk to a stranger the way that you would talk to somebody that you knew already, right? So that's what they're saying here. When you speak from a platform, you may also exercise care. A manner that is too casual detracts from the dignity of a meeting or conversation or discourse, or here they use a Christian meeting, and from the seriousness of what is stated. In some languages, certain expressions are required when addressing an older person, a teacher, an official, or a parent. And here they're speaking about different expressions are used when addressing a marriage mate or a close friend. While our manner of speech on the platform should not be needlessly formal, it should be respectful, right? So here what they're saying is that speaking about say, for example, whenever that you go in to your assignment, say after I make assignments, and I will be making assignments for every student that signs into the course, you're going to be having to go on stage, and then on your assignment could be like, well, okay, I want you to tell me about appropriate pausing. Explain to me what is appropriate pausing within 3 minutes. You see what I mean? So when you use that principles from appropriate pausing, the formal manner of it would be that you would express it right, the way that the publication expresses it. You see what I mean? And then, so for example, it says that, if you would do that, you will be showing respect, to your voice quality here. And it's appropriate conversational manner. Like saying, for example, conversational manner is that when you would go on the platform, right? Meaning, like, since this is like a course at home, you're in a chair, you would pretend that you went on stage, and that's it. Formal manner would be like, say, if I made an assignment, right, for you and said that your assignment is fluency or appropriate pausing, right? Fluency would mean that you think before that you act, right? But say, for example, to express this though first, you would have to be using what? Voice quality, right? So voice quality would be that you're learning how to breathe properly whenever you speak. And so what is that, right? So these assignments, that's why it's important to read the first introduction video, because then you're learning how to breathe properly when you're speaking. And you'll avoid being nervous on stage. You'll learn the main point here for this assignment here, or this course right here, is that you're learning to stop stuttering. So you have to breathe properly, okay? This isn't a course for just to learn public speaking. This is for stutterers, you see, because you're learning to control the adrenaline. So each assignment, it's as it gets toward the end of the publication, you got to use all the other chapters, right? The ideas of them in every assignment that you complete. So if I give you this assignment here about, say, fluency or appropriate pausing, right? If I hand you that, or poise, in say fluency again, would be say you would have to think before you do anything. So if your assignment was here, say on conversational manner, right? You would be speaking, say like in a formal manner. If you were having to do that, you would have to think back on the appropriate way to breathe. Inhale through the nose, right? And then exhale it out. Filling your lungs. And then as you breathe out, you're speaking out on that one breath right there, right? You see what I mean? And we already had the assignment on gesturing. What type of, say, emphatic gestures would you be doing? You see the way I express the face moving up and the neck going that way like that, move down. And then I said down like that. I did a climax down, you see. Climax up and then fading away, going down. Saying downward, right? So you would use the appropriate breathing quality, inhaling in through the nose, and as you're speaking, you'll be exhaling it out very smoothly and softly, the words, right? So that's, number one, the intro, right? Or I think it's number 2 about voice quality. Lesson 2. So that's what you want to keep in mind, okay? So this here is just not a public speaking course. So for those that stutter, you know what, you're going to learn that I put a lot of stress, emphasis, on every chapter that I'm speaking about, and I go over it and over it, with almost all of it in every chapter that I'm speaking, because so that way you're doing repetition on everything that I'm speaking about. Now let's go into the paragraph here. It says right here that there are, however, factors that may cause a person's delivery to sound unnecessary, stiff, or formal. One of these is sentence structure or phrasing. A problem arises when a speaker tries to repeat expressions exactly as they appear in print. The written word is usually quite different from the spoken word. True research in preparation for a talk is usually done using published material. Possibly a printed outline provides the basis for the talk, but if you express thoughts just the way they appear in print or read them directly from a published outline during your talk, it is not likely that your speech will sound like conversation. To maintain a conversational style, express thoughts in your own words and avoid complicated sentence structure. So what they're saying right here, you see, I read a tremendous amount of words, right? And we can't remember all, right? So that's what they're saying. That conversational manner is non-formal. You see, formal is whenever you go by all the principles, right? But in conversational manner, you want to paraphrase the information. Like I just read this here, I want to be paraphrasing it. And you'll learn that you understand it more in your own words. You see, and that's what they're just, saying right here. Another factor in variation in tempo, speech that is rather stiff and formal, often involves a flow of words that are too evenly paced and a pace that is too constant. In normal conversation, there are changes of pace and frequent pauses of varying lengths. So what they're saying here is that have you ever heard somebody that drags on when they talk, right? Let's put a example of that, right? See, I don't want to talk about anybody, okay? Here's a speaker, right? Say that you're reading, and it says another factor is variation in tempo. Speech that is rather stiff and formal often involves a flow of words that are too easy, too evenly spaced, and a pace that is too constant. Everything sounds the same. It drags. Wow, man. Don't do that. No, you want to pitch it up, changes, add, climaxes, and like what I mean is that, change the pitch. Like, you're saying, like, for example, here it says, another factor is variations in tempo. You see what I mean? You want to use, when I said tempo, I used a climax. I went up and then I just faded away, that, going down with it with low inflection. You see, you want to use high pitch and then climax and then fading down and then inflections, which I went down low with it. You see, that's what you want to do as conversational manner. It says that when you speak to a large audience, of course, you should couple the conversation style of speech with increased volume, intensity, and enthusiasm so as to hold their attention. Like, if you go to an audience that's really big, a lot of people, right? Imagine that if you were there talking, so low, they ain't gonna hear you, right? Don't matter about the microphone, well, at least they gotta put a full blast, oh man. No, but you would sound more louder than speaking low, right? You would, ante up the volume of, So it says right here that in order to employ a conversational manner that is appropriate for the ministry, or you're talking to somebody, or if you're giving orders or making a statement whatsoever, you need to make it a habit to speak well every day. This does not mean that you must be highly educated, but it is good to cultivate speech habits that will cause others to listen with respect to what you say. With that in mind, consider whether you need to work on the following points in daily conversations. So, what they're saying right here is that to develop a good quality conversational manner in your speech, right? what you want to do is you want to avoid expressions, okay, that clash with good manners or that tend to identify you with people whose way of life defies God, here it's using godly standards, Again, this is a publication from my, religion church. And I'm adding, other words and definitions to blend it in with, the different types of cultures that are studying the publication. It says here that way of life defies godly standards, right, in harmony with the counsel. So, shun language that is crude and vulgar. On the other hand, colloquial speech is not objectionable. Colloquialism or everyday expression are informal, but they conform to accept standards of speech. So right here, they're just saying, just use respectful language every day, And that's all it is that they're just saying here. Avoid constant repetition of the same expression and phrases to convey every day different thought that you might have. Learn to use words that clearly express what you mean. So here they're just saying to don't be doing repetitive, expressions, right? Avoid needless regressions by getting clearly in mind what you want to say, then start to speak. So here they're just telling you on regressions is that don't start something, a phrase, right? And then stop in the middle of it and then start back again and then explain it, to the full. That's regression. So what you want to do is just, don't use this in your daily speech. It says also to avoid burying good thoughts in too many words. Make it a practice to state clearly a simple sentence, the point that needs to be remembered. So here they're just talking about, to just, be familiarizing yourself with, good, good terminology. That's all it is, just, use terminology that are respectful and honorable. And then it says to speak in a manner that shows respect for others. And that's all that you have to do, So from here, it says how to develop this quality, right? Start with your viewpoint toward those in your audience. View them as friends, but do not be overly casual. Treat them with respect. Speak extemporaneously. Do not try to use exact wording from printed material. Put the ideas in your own words. Use short sentences and vary your pace. So with these two sentences, right, these two phrases that I read right here, they're saying here that to respect your audience, okay? Now, two, they're saying that to when you read something, right, from the paragraph, try not to state it, in that wording, but put it in your own words. Why? Because whenever you paraphrase something, right, it helps to explain, the sense of it. You get the real meaning of it, the gist of it, and the audience will get it as well. And then it mentions to concentrate on the desire to communicate, right? It says right here that speak from the heart what is important in the message, not the impression you are making on others. So what they're saying here is that the audience could really tell if that you have, interest in your subject. For example, they know that if you have a desire, to express to them what you're speaking about, they know this. So just, concentrate on the ideas that show these kind of, expressions. Improve your everyday conversation. One at a time, work on the suggestions offered on this page. So what they're saying is, it's like to get, better at something, you got to practice it, right? And we know that by improving, it takes, practice. So the more that you practice, these points right here, you'll get better at it. Now, how does all this information help those that stutter, right? I did this on purpose here. I read a lot, okay? I read a lot without, going over it and explaining it, right after. You see? Now, the best thing for a stutterer to understand is that it's best to learn things in intervals, meaning that read something, explain it, and then practice it with stuttering, how to make, implications in it, such as, like, whenever I mention on how to develop this quality, right? Start with your viewpoint toward those in your audience. So what does that mean? Well, what is it that your audience already knows about what you're talking about? See what I mean? So they already know that you stutter, right? So what you want to do is that put in your mind the ideas that you're learning, okay? For example, what's a good conversational manner of speaking? It's not using the material in the paragraph, but paraphrasing it, that, in your own words. So that way that they will get the true meaning of it. So for number one, for you as a stutterer, you always want to have in mind the first video and the second video, always, for every subject that you're studying, and that is breath control. Always breathe with good poise, meaning you inhale right through the nose, you put the air inside your lungs, and remember that as gradually, right, you let it out, speaking out slowly. That's the number one rule right there for conversational manner, is that you don't want to go into each course of this right here, meaning each chapter, without, using the first rule. Is this for every chapter in here is your breath control. Okay, now this right here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make my own publication, right? and that I'm gonna twine into combination of each chapter with that how every chapter is modified to each other. Like chapter two, I think it is, or yeah, 1 and 2. They're in every chapter, meaning that breath control. The first thing, what you want to really learn is the breath control. And then there's the other chapter, which meaning fluency. You got to have that in mind too as well. You got to think first, right? As a stutterer, you got to think first what you got to do for every chapter in here. Say like, you're on lesson 25. You got to be thinking about, chapter 1 and 2, that. But the idea, I'm not saying every word. You see what I'm saying about every word? You got to remember, no. Remember, it's just, the main points. So breath control, you got to remember that. What's the proper way of breathing? That's the first chapter, and the second one that you have to, I think it's in the second one, the main, about the practical. Practical means that, how to do it. Inhale through your nose, and then fill in the lungs, and exhale. And as you exhale, you're speaking out very slowly, the words, what you got to do, okay? And until you run out of breath, you inhale again. So you see, that's what you got to do for every assignment. And so it's sort of like, every lesson falls into every other lesson on top. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a, not publication, see, that'll come, later. I'm going to make like a cheat sheet, they call it, right? They call these cheat sheets, meaning that, it's something you'll keep in mind, there for you for your notes. What you want to keep in mind, it'll help you with every chapter there is. So for, on conversational manner of speaking, what is it that you have to do? The main thing right here, it mentioned, is that you don't want to be formal, right? Formal is, like you follow the principles, of, the information that's in, the chapter. Say like if you meet a stranger, right? You wouldn't sound like you know him all your life, no. You would stay formal, stay okay. You would talk a certain way, right? You wouldn't talk like you knew him for a long, time, right? And like, so say like you speak in a manner characteristic of everyday conversation, but modify to fit your audience. You would modify it, for the circumstances that you are getting into. That's all you do. All right, so for stutterers here, your preview on this right here would be like, to focus on, right, on the paraphrasing. That paraphrasing is that you read the information, right, the principles that you got to do, and you would, explain them out in a non-formal manner. And to understand that, right here is that whenever you say that too, is that you would learn how to paraphrase. And here they mention about a lot of respect when you talk. They mention that you don't want to be using a lot of, profanity, right? And to keep it, with respect. And then whenever you're speaking, right, avoid regressions, meaning like, say, whenever you talk, You know, you want to control the way you say your sentences. For example, you know, like say that when a person uses regressions, this is what they do. They say something halfways, right? Halfways. Then they stop and then they return back. They go backwards. They repeat it again, right? And then they finish off the sentences. They do that a lot within their speech manners. So learning these qualities here, you're learning them because whenever you go on stage, right, and you're talking to an audience, and the audience here, we could refer to YouTubing, right? Like, say, a lot of people talk the way they want because they use the editing, you know, for their videos, right? But you don't want to rely on that only because, say, whenever you do YouTubing, this course right here could help you with your speech to break the ice. For example, I got new clients that, you know, I train them, you know, to be YouTubers, right? And I use this course that I got right here, right? They see, you know, the videos, then they understand, you know, how to breathe properly. When they get nervous, they know that it's adrenaline. So to control that adrenaline, they got to think of ideas how to push away being nervous. So this is very helpful, right? So learning to speak as a YouTuber, content creator, public speaking skills will be a very, very great for you to learn. And then that way that you'll break the ice, you know, from having fear speaking on the video. So for example, like these videos here that I finished here, I send the link to some of the people that I'm training right now, and then they see it and then they learn it as well, and they get more confidence to continue in pursuing, you know, the goal to learn how to be a content creator, YouTuber. You see, and that's what I'm working on right now to helping them out with this course right here. So public speaking is not just only, you know, using it for discourses as professionalism on stage, or a church ministry, you know, discourse minister person that gives, you know, talks at their church, but it helps others, you know, to pursue their career, something new in life, right? And it's really nice to do this for them. I see that people are starting to change their life and they're living a better life, you know, learning to have public speaking skills. Okay, this is study 28, lesson 28, conversational manner, and it's almost going to be 40 minutes already. I'm going to stop the video now, and what you want to do is just go over, you know, the material little by little. I know there's a lot of tremendous amount of information that I spoke, right? And just go by it by just learning it just very in bits, you know. Read some of it, apply it, and then just apply it within your daily conversation. And that way that you'll learn what is the difference, you know, of formal speech and non-formal speech, and then paraphrasing it, you know, in your own way, that way that you learn, you know, to understand it, and you could explain it more clearly and more understandable if you paraphrase it and learn what it means, you know, within your own words as well. Okay, well, it was nice talking to you today. I'm going to start the other chapter, okay? And you just take your time, no pressure, and try to learn the video number 2. Focus on that right there first. Number 1 is the intro of what I'm doing here with the public speaking publication. All right, but number 2 video is it's called voice quality, because it shows you first how to breathe properly, and that's the first one that you need for all the lessons, because you need that video in your mindset, and then the one next would be fluency video, right? And then appropriate pausing, because these 3 are the main ones that you want to concentrate on, okay? Because they go with every other chapter that's involved. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. You take care. Thanks for watching.